Hello, everybody. This is my audience member. His name is Hanson. My name is Ryan Bungie, and today's date is 6/26/2026. For today's hot topic, I ended up choosing gun rights and why I believe all federal restrictions should be repealed for law-abiding citizens. If I could go ahead and start with a quote from Benjamin Franklin: "Those who would give up essential liberty to purchase a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety." What I believe this is ultimately saying is the government is not able to provide safety as a guarantee. The only real ability for Americans to guarantee their safety is to have the right to self-determination and self-governance. Three arguments I'm going to go over today is why the Second Amendment was created, liberty and safety and the costs of them, and gun restrictions and how gun restrictions only affect law-abiding citizens. As far as why the Second Amendment was created, I believe it was created in order to stop government from overstepping, from stepping on its citizens' rights. I believe it's almost be a system of checks and balances, part of the system of checks and balances, almost to be the last check and balance between democracy becoming authoritarianism. According to the Mises Institute, it's often characteristic of dictatorships that one of the first steps they do before totally grasping for power is to take the right for citizens to own firearms away and to go out there and take all guns. This happened in the Soviet Union, this happened in Nazi Germany, this happened in Cuba, it's happened time and time again. People often point out casualties as a reasoning that the Second Amendment needs to be restricted. If I can go ahead and compare the Second Amendment to another right, the right to free travel. According to the National Highway Safety Administration, there are 39,300 deaths every year from automobile accidents. However, even though there are many casualties from the right of traveling, nobody's out there advocating that we get rid of cars or get rid of Americans' ability to drive cars. I believe that with great liberties and great freedom comes great responsibilities. And the idea that liberty outweighs safety is an idea that America was built upon. Criminals that would use firearms are going to do it regardless of if they're illegal or not. The fact that they've already committed to doing a crime shows that the law has no effect on them. Anti-gun rights activists will often point to these incidents where criminals commit violent offenses as reasoning for why the Second Amendment needs to be restricted. However, in each one of those cases, there were already laws in place saying that they cannot do what they did, and they did it anyways, which shows criminals don't care about what the law says. They're going to do it regardless. They broke the law in the first place, and I believe that all counter arguments to this are really only directed at law-abiding citizens because they're the only ones that are going to listen to the restrictions in the first place. My solution would be to repeal all federal legislation that is restricting our Second Amendment. If I could compare it to Vermont, according to Consumer Shield, they on average have about 3.8 deaths per 100,000. Even though they have some of the loosest gun laws in the entire country. If I could go ahead and point out a future reality, imagine a world where you traded your liberty for the ability to feel safe. And at the end of the day, the government isn't able to provide this. However, they are able to enforce the absolution of your rights. Imagine not being able to say or do or feel the way you want to because the government says it's illegal and you have no recourse because they've abolished the democratic process. Or we could have a future reality where our rights are respected, that American citizens are trusted to act responsibly with the freedoms that they've been given. If you are looking for any action to take personally, I would suggest joining a gun lobbyist group such as the NRA, or there are many other organizations out there that you can either donate money to or join who actively fight against the restrictions against the Second Amendment. This is why I believe in repealing all current gun laws, and I hope I've convinced you of the same. Have a good day.